Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of What's on Your Shelf. Today I host an Agile Coach, life coach, an author who's done two amazing books, but above everything else, has life experiences that is going to be very interesting for our conversation today. Who am I talking about? On What's on Your Shelf today, I host Maureen Burgstahler. I hope I've not massacred it.
Burgstahler.
Burgstahler.
Burgstahler. Maureen is a joyous lady who loves to impact people's life. I like it when I can change some perspectives of someone. That's practically who I am. I am a transformational coach where I work with leaders and teams in their path of transformation and helping them know what's good for them.
Yeah.
And helping them by that part, and the life coaching the same, just at the personal level. I realized I was Black when I go to Germany. Within a marriage, I always say that's where tradition is formed or community is formed. Is it easy? No. Will you make it? Yes.
Let me say welcome and by What's on Your Shelf.
Thank you so much for having me here.
You're based in Germany.
Yes.
How did you find yourself there?
That's a really long story. And finding myself there was by the help of my aunt, for sure. She's been in Germany for as much as I can think. I think like over 40 years, almost turning 40. So it's been as much as I think she's been there, and invited me then when I was almost 19 after my high school and college to visit her. And that's how I found myself in Germany.
You're just done with college. You're supposed to, or almost transitioning into your professional life, and then you go into a foreign country. Most of the time, there's always a difference in the education system and how the trainings are different. How did you integrate yourself now? Where did you start?
It was hard. First of all, I went to visit my auntie. That's why you go with a visiting visa. It's not like an au pair or to study where you need to pre-learn the language before getting to the country. So I practically didn't know the language. I remember having a dictionary from my aunt when she came to visit, and I used to go through the dictionary and know what Guten Tag is and Guten Abend, like those were the initial German, words. But getting to Germany, I always say I thank my aunt, and it's really funny how she taught me the German. So when I got there, visiting her, staying at her home, she gave me a book. That's why I'm into books, a German book, a story book, and gave me a big dictionary, not that the small one I had. She gave me like a big dictionary with everything, with that book. And that book was, I think, more than 300 words, storybook. And because I was just sitting, lazing around at home, she was like, you have to read the book in German and translate it to me in English. So that was my first journey with the German. And I always say on reflection, I think that's why I knew the language, because I knew the language before even going to school to learn the language. So I ended up translating the book into English. So which means the words that were in the book were in my head, kind of. So
What was your first job?
My first job was at a production company. Like it was just like you stand there and pack some stuff. Like it was a cream producing company, and we had to pack the creams into the package. So that was my first job in Germany.
So at
Not
that
really
point-
something wow, but yeah. But
At that point, you are now able to converse in German.
Yeah, at that point I was able to converse. I knew even how to converse before I going to school, because at certain age when I needed to study or go to the German school system, I needed the B1 level of German certification. And to get that, I had to go back to school. So at that point, I had the language already, but not really, let me say, not school grammatically correct, but I could speak and understand and communicate with anybody, but I needed the certificate. That's why I went back then again to school and got the certification for me to be able to go to this school system.
Did the studies you had in Kenya work?
No. No. The school system is different. We have the 844 system. They have 5, like it's a 13 years school kind of. Whereas we go here to Form 4 and don't have the A level, that's what you miss when you go to German as from Kenya. So they need the A level part of your high school, which we don't practically have in Kenya. So when you need to study, you always have to get the 1 year plus your Kenyan education high school level to make you be able to step into the studying system. So, and of course I didn't have that. And that's why for me to go to the studying system, I had to my certificate got transferred, and it's like they transfer it to Real. That's not, they have like a system. I don't know how I can say. They have, when you get to class 5, you split the children. They go to, like, those who have more education and have the A's are taken to a level that they will study, like their system. They go to 13 classes afterward. Then they have a certificate to study. The middle one that got maybe C's and like D's go to the college system. So they have
at class 5.
Yes, they decide that at class 5. So they have that, and they go to this college with until 10 classes, 9 to 10. You can get then the certification to go to college. And there are those ones with the D's and E's at class 5.
Yes.
They go also to another school system. So it's like 3 different systems that allow you to either study, have the college level, or have something to do with some future. So our Kenyan certificate is always transferred into the middle. So you don't get the university unless you add up that 1 year. Automatically you get the middle thing. So that middle thing allows you to go to college.
At least you don't go to this other one.
Exactly. So we don't go to this one, we go to the college one. Yeah.
What was the most challenging thing when you landed there? What was your biggest challenge?
The weather. The weather. Like, you think here is cold? And I went there end March, 31st of March. I entered, and it was still like kind of not really warm. The winter was just getting over, starting into forward to summer. But we had still snow in April. So that was my first snow, and I was like, as a really, 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 really cold.
Yeah.
And I remember putting on pulleys and 2 jogging trousers, and the heater is on. You have to put on the heater, and my room had like a 5, like the most warm, and with pulleys. So the weather was really, really cold. That's the first thing that really shocked me, because the cold is not compared. If somebody can explain to you, like, it's not cold, but if you haven't felt the cold, you have no imagination of how the cold is. And the second thing was the language, definitely. While sitting there and they're talking and you don't understand anything. So you feel really... It's a funny feeling when you sit at a corner. You don't get nothing. Yeah. So that was really something that disturbed me a lot.
I was lucky when I was in Germany, because I was in Berlin, so there was not so much pressure to speak German, but I struggled with food.
I was lucky with that because I visited my auntie. She's a Kenyan, definitely. So we had that part of her knowing the country already. Yeah. She knew where to find the best meat that you can make a stew of. We had even sukumas. Like, there's some vegetables there they're not really sukumas, but they impose like a sukuma, let me say. So you have a feeling it's a sukuma, and also some maize that could be like kind of ugali. It's a
Yes.
yellowish kind of
It's
thing.
yellow. I remember the first time I made ugali out of those things.
It's this.
Some jungus, they had never ever seen anything like that.
No,
they
they-
ate the whole thing without
Yes.
even stew.
Yes, they do, but they don't know how to do it like we do it. So
Yes.
we use that.
They call it African cake. Mike made African cake.
Yes.
But,
So-
but how have you adapted to the food? One of the things I always feel like we don't really explore so much is the food aspect of traveling, because sometimes you're used to certain tastes.
Yes.
And the
yes.
African, I want to say this without fear of contradiction, that African food tastes great.
It does.
And when you get out there are things sometimes you eat and they have a lot of raw stuff. I struggle with a lot of that raw stuff in the kebabs and in these things. And I'm like,
Yes,
where
yes.
are we eating? What have you found to be your favorite now that today I can say wewe ni mwenyeji?
I eat, actually, we have, during Christmas, they have markets where they present the Christmas stuff. And there's a food, it's called sauerkraut. It's so funny. And these sauerkraut, it's like a soul cabbage. It's like a fermented cabbage. White cabbage, fermented, kind of. That's how it tastes. And you eat it with something called noodles. There's some round kind of ugali stuff, but tasty. They made round like this, and some sauce, some meat sauce. And I love that. I love that a lot. I can't make it myself, but whenever I go to these, they're called Weihnachtsmarkt, like Christmas markets.
Yeah.
That's what I eat there. And my mother-in-law does do it also because she knows I like it. So during winter, it's only eaten over winter. It's not there over summer. So, and I think it warms because of the soul, it releases the cold a little bit, and that's why I love it. So I love that now.
I like how you speak German very easily. You'll teach us a few German words. But now I want to transition to your shelf.
Yes.
I know this is a very makeshift shelf because a majority of your books are back there at home. But now from this shelf, what are some of the most, let me say three, which are your three most impactful books other than yours? We'll talk about yours in a bit. But which are the three very or most impactful books that you can talk about from this shelf?
Because I'm into self, like you mentioned before, the personal finding of self. I always say you have to find yourself first and get to know who you are, like your identity, who are you, and after knowing who you are, you can move into, let me say, finding yourself, like finding then your purpose. You find it only after knowing who you are, and you say like, okay, this is me, and this could be my path, and that could be the path that leads to your greatness. And after that, I think then you can climb the mountain. Of who you are, and then use that who you are to climb the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in a foreign land, and identity is such a critical thing to imagine. How would you relate to this word identity, looking at where you are, looking at the journey you've had?
Very critical when I look back, and I knew who I was when I was in Kenya. Like, this is me, this is my parent, these are my parents, this is my family, this is what I want to be. Stepping into the German country or German environment, you lose that for a while in the name of adapting, or in the form of adaptation that is forced or impressed onto you. You have to speak the language. That doesn't take you a month. It takes you years to know the language, to be able to integrate into the system. Then I realized I was Black when I go to German. Like, when you hear, it's me, I'm Maureen.
It's normal.
It's normal for me to be the Maureen. But entering the German environment, that's when I knew I was Black. Like, wow, you're Black. And Black is not really accepted or really warm welcomed, let me say. So you always have this path of German, yes, but don't forget you're black. So that interferes with who you are. So you start questioning yourself, who am I really? To adapt with the system, knowing you're black, you're not accepted whenever you go. You always have to explain yourself. You always have to put yourself there. So people struggle a lot with identity crisis. And this is just because actually of immigration. Like getting there to adapt, you forget yourself for a while.
How have you dealt with that?
I had to, when I started the journey of self, I had many questions to myself. And by questioning them, I found then the answers. Because I remember when I got to German, I was like, I have to learn the language. And that's something that you have to get to the system. While learning the language, I forgot the English. The English I'm speaking today, I had to relearn it again because I never used the English anymore, like for 10 years, in the name of adapting. And by that switch alone, I forgot that part of me that knew the English, which actually is me, the Kenyan me. So I had to go back to me. So nowadays I do the identity crisis and I help so young people when it comes to finding themselves. Kids born there, they don't know who they are and never finding the balance. So not to do it like I did, to put my English and my Swahili and the Luo aside and concentrate fully in English, in Germany, to do the both. Try to get the balance between both languages, or let me say both countries. And that maybe could be some... It took me years. I've been over 20 years. So at 10 years in Germany, that's when I realized that. But when I could have realized that maybe earlier, that I needed that, it could have maybe helped me a little bit.
Yeah. You're a life coach.
Yes.
I want to assume that you meet a lot of people with an identity crisis.
Yes.
Who are these people? What journey do you take them through?
Most of them, I always say they are definitely immigrants, and this is not just like immigrated from Africa, basically from any other country into the German system. And basically also people who are born there, immigrants born there. Like I always say my children have the question as well. I have a 15 years old son, he has the question as well. Like, my parents come here and I'm born here, so who am I? So where they are born, they're not shown that you belong. So, and where they come from, they don't belong because they don't stay there. So they miss the misconception, like, where do I really then belong? And that's where I try to tell them or show them you actually belong to both. You just have to know how to balance them. And by balancing them, you find yourself much better than denying or saying, I am a German. Actually, the Germans don't tell you that you're a German. And if you stick to you telling yourself, I'm a German, it won't help you in finding yourself. So accept that I am maybe a Kenyan, born in German, or I am a Kenyan who immigrated in Germany. So that's okay like that. And I'm not fully, and I'll never be German. And it's practically very okay.
So now I want to even to come to you now. You've been there for now 20 years thereabout.
Yes.
Do you ever feel like you belong?
Yes. Today I will say yes. And for me, I change the concept of belonging. I am a person who says I live in the now. I enjoy the moment now, and I try to suck as much as I can in the moment to make me feel the moment, and that allows me to belong. So when I start thinking of, oh, I wish I was in Kenya, or I wish I was doing this, then that disconnects me from the now. So I live in the now, and that's, for me, the answer to belonging. I suck in the moment, enjoy the moment, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. But to somebody who is listening to you, how do you deal with that? What is that quick pointer you'd give to somebody who is at that identity crisis phase. You're struggling with identity, you're struggling to belong, you're struggling to fit in. What is a quick pointer you can give that person?
Find yourself first and not the others. Normally, we try to think like, okay, there are people always like, I want to follow other Kenyans' path. They are doing this and I want that. I want to be that, but that's not you. So try to find yourself. And that's why I always say you have to know your purpose. Try to find yourself and accept that who you are. And accept that I'm just a Kenyan. And accept I'm not speaking the language perfect. And I will never might speak it perfectly. And it's okay. And get yourself from there. Like take that step from there where you are. Who are you? And accept all the negative stuffs you might think they're not okay. Accept them. And from there, I think it helps you to find yourself. And by finding yourself, you get to that sense of belonging somewhere. And I will say, live in the now.
Yeah. One of the books that I find interesting, and I want to talk about it, I know you didn't pick it among yours, is The Psychology of Money.
Yes.
Is that green pastures thing a reality? Greener pastures. Tunaenda majuu.
No. Maju is like, let me say, because they are, they have the money. Like the systems have the money. That's actually what we think is wow. But the system is not like, it's not me. Me getting there as a Mayor Maureen, getting to belong to the system or be part of the system, to see that money needs me to work on myself a lot. And I love the book as well, because I always say to make money, you have to work on your mind. It's not just me going there, grabbing money from some tree somewhere or from the system, because that will never be enough and it will never satisfy you. And if you then find yourself and work with your mind to know how can I make the money, and
there is always a belief that as soon as I land in Europe,
money is there.
Thank you, God. Eh?
It's a misconception.
My relatives in the village, electricity.
Come.
Yes.
And this is what many immigrants suffer from, and leading them to even depression, because they are waiting from people who you left back. They're like, whenever you land there, you have the money, so you have to give the money back. You have the money. Not knowing when you get to German, first of all, without having the citizenship, you're not access to any money that comes from the system. Definitely, they have the catch up for people. Like, you'll never be on the streets. Like, you have nothing unless you want to have nothing. They have that social system that holds you back. But to get to that social system, you have to be in the system. And to be in the system, you have to have been there for a while, have married, have studied something. So it's just a process. So when you go there, you're thinking landing and then you start getting money. No.
What money lessons have you had to learn the hard way?
I had it myself. Whenever I saw my auntie coming back, of course, when you see people come back, they have saved the money, first of all, and they could afford everything you think they could afford. But this is just their savings. They've worked maybe for 1 or 2 years to be able to afford that. So, and I had this myself entering there, and I was like, oh, so it took me time to be able even to earn. With the visiting visa, you can't work. So first you have to have a work permit. To get the work permit, you have to have done this. So it's like the process for you to get your own money that you call, wow, this is my money. It's long. So I got disappointed also on entering, thinking things would be quicker or as fast as I thought. And this is a misconception we have. When you enter there, you think, wow, money is coming. No, it doesn't come that fast.
Many times people talk about the differences between maybe Kenya and US, Kenya and Germany. But are there any similarities that you can point out to say, I've seen this and I've...
Similarities... I would say people are still people. They have everywhere there are people who really make big money. They are assholes and they are good people. So, and that's what I would say. That's basically the actually not the different, the connection. We still all human beings, just with different perspectives that we encounter, but difference, no, kind of, no.
So when you're looking at these books, how would you say they've influenced your approach to two things? Your personal life and also the career that you have in either coaching and you're also a motivational speaker.
Yes.
And you guys, she'll have to motivate us before we finish. But when you look at these books, how did they influence the person in you? How did they help you transform the various aspects of your life?
It took me a journey to find myself. When I think about my past me, that young girl you brought here, I know, like my dad, I was the firstborn, and we do things that don't allow you to know really who you are, because you help mom at home, you're doing this, where you don't decide what you want to study. Nobody even asks you what you want to study. So this is the thing who I went with into Germany, knowing, okay, I really don't know who I am. And I remember doing the college secretarial. It was like, okay, you finish high school, you can go there. So nobody asked me if I want to go there. So being in Germany, I had now, I think, a wide minded into me being able to know who I am. That's when I started the identity. Who is Maureen? And who can Maureen be? So, and I questioned these a lot. I did like a research. Who is me? What makes me me? What do I like doing? I went to my childhood, and that helped me. And it took me over 10 years. The journey didn't begin like initially just stepping into Germany, because I had to also, let me say, find myself in the system to be able to widen your mind. Because if you're not yet in the system, you still have so many problems around you, not having the papers. You don't know what to eat. There are many things that you still have to cater for, that you don't have the time to think about yourself.
Well, what prompted you to want to know who you are? What is it? Where was this place you were in that made you want to really figure out who Maureen was?
I think I've been always a person of thinking, not knowing I was thinking. I think about me a lot, and I question so many things just internally, not loudly questioning, but I always question them a lot. So, and I always take things not for granted. I had that thing like there is a purpose of me being where I am, because I ended up knowing, when I talked to my sister, I implanted something. So this came always back to me. And these also happened when I entered German. Ulinongesha hivi nikafanya hivi na hivi, and then it helped me out. And that followed me always, like from my high school. So I started then questioning, how could that be who I am, first of all? And to find that, I think the first really, I was married, I got divorced, and the first time. And those are steps, or let me say steps in life where you start questioning yourself. What is marriage? What is it meant? I know the Christian marriage, molewa, and you stay forever and godly, and it didn't work. So of course it's a disappointment there. So you start questioning, was it me? Was it somebody else? And could it be that has to do with me? So I always count the dots in my life, and that's what I've been doing. And that led me, and practically that's actually in the Ubuntu Within. When I searched for college for years, questioning why, getting into interviews, not finding spaces, being seen as that black girl, and wondering what could be of me for the future. Then I found a place, got that college, a company that works with me, and I went to school. The second year, my son falls sick. So I had these always ups and downs that makes you question life generally.
Yeah.
What has to do with me? And by doing the questioning, I started actually finding myself and finding how I could let me say, serve. And that's, I found myself in my struggles. Let me say the struggle led me to finding myself. And after finding myself, I was like, okay, let me catch up from there and see how far I can go. And yeah.
You're married today.
I'm married today again.
But this one, you don't feel obligated to respond to this if
Yeah.
it's uncomfortable. But maybe just looking at the first marriage didn't work, and you got the courage to remarry, to get married again. What was this period in between these two that made you feel like I want to give it another chance, or I want to get married again? What was that period like in between the two?
Very questioning period. I was married to a German. I'm married to a German again today. So it's like, it's not different like, on that perspective.
Yeah.
And me entering German, I was like, wow, German's that, wow. You know, like, Then I got disappointed in the marriage because it didn't work. I was okay with it. And I was like, no, I don't want Germans. And that's why my first son is black. Definitely, I had the German chapter closed for me at that stage of my life. And I was like, into now, I think I would go with a black guy because it's like me. We could share some.
We know each other.
We know each other.
understand.
We are all black.
Yeah.
So that one
A black
totally didn't work.
German or from somewhere else?
He was a Nigerian, or he is a Nigerian. So, but staying in Germany. So we met in Germany. So then I had tried now both. So for me, that's now the journey in between. So I had the German and I was like, they're Germans, they're street, it's okay, but I couldn't deal with it then. Then I met the Nigerian guy and I was like, black, we are okay, but I hate to be, let me say, too submissive. And that's not me. I'm a firstborn. I've been leading everywhere. So it was hard for me to fall into that submissive African woman that he wanted of me. And that's why it didn't work. So now I had two comparisons. I was like, okay, will I go to black more or should I go to the white? And the decision ended up to say, okay, I would give another German a chance because I think the me that I was then could adapt more to the German. That's why I gave it another chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were there any lessons that you'd say helped you in that other one that now maybe helped you manage the current marriage you are in? Like, are there any things you can say, there are places I can identify that did not work in that one, that maybe a maturer you today has worked on and has moved on to this one?
Yeah, accepting that you can't change people. It's something I had to learn. Like somebody who is not you. Let me say, somebody who is not you, you can't change them. And in my first marriage, I was like, he was a guy, he was good, very warm-hearted, had a little bit with weight problems. And I am into like, why don't you lose the weight? I was like, it's something easy. So you could just lose the weight. You go to the fitness studio and work out. So it's, for me, in that sense, yes, that young Maureen was like, I could cook for you the healthy food. You have just to take yourself to the fitness studio and do something, so I took it so easy. And that's what I learned. You can't change somebody who doesn't want to change themselves. So it was me wanting him to lose that weight and not him wanting himself to lose that weight. And that's, I learned a lot. I was my marriage now, I'm like, okay, you have to accept people the way they are, with what they bring in the table or to the table, and that's who they are. And you can never change a person apart from changing yourself.
You've written extensively to women on your second book,
yes.
The Confident Me. We will talk about that book.
Yeah.
But now still relating to identity and what you're talking about, marriage. Very many women lose their identity in the marriage. Not, I won't say women. Let me say very many people lose their identity when they get into a marriage. Some out of love, some out of what? Expectation. But looking at where you are at today, you're a point of light. How would you relate to people still finding their identity, even within a marriage, in that setup?
It's hard to find. It's hard. I would say, like, for me, it is hard to find it in the marriage. So you have to find it for yourself first. Like, you have to know yourself before entering the marriage, and you have to play clear, like with the clear cards. This is who I am, not the hiding. And this is what we hide, women and I am. we hide maybe some things because of love, not knowing that hiding doesn't last long. So at the end of the day, in the journey of
Cut
marriage,
comes out.
yes, the you comes out,
Yes.
and the you is not accepted. They're like, who is this now?
Yes.
Who is this now?
Yeah.
And that's why I say you can't find it inside the marriage. You have to find who you are, that identity of yours before you enter the marriage, so that you like clear on it. Both men, I think both men and women, like women do that a lot, because I think as the African, or let me say as the woman is always under the man. Like the man is the king, like whatever Bible says, the man is always on top. So a woman, I would say, tries to fit in, and by trying to fit in, we forget ourselves a lot more than, let me say, compared to men.
Yeah.
So advice here for women: find yourself before entering the marriage. Know who you are, and be clear on that with your partner before entering the marriage.
There are places where it's not even you. For example, looking at this expectation that, for example, in your second marriage with the Nigerian, where there was an expectation.
It wasn't a marriage, we were just together.
Okay.
We dated.
Okay.
And the child came out.
Looking at that circumstance, there are very many people who are stuck in that situation where it's not even about you. It's not even about this guy. There is a cultural expectation. How do you navigate that cultural landscape? Looking at the identity. This is who I am. I want to pursue this career. I want to chase this dream. I also want to build me beyond being a wife, beyond being a mother.
Yes.
I want to become this person.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that spectrum?
It was hard, because I met this guy when I had gotten my college. Like, that was like, okay, now it's time for me to rise up as me. And I had a baby already, so I knew I am a mom. And the guy was like, okay, you have to be that woman I expect you to be. And that woman he expected me to be wasn't an educated woman, as per my perspective then. So it was hard for me. I had to fight with the love. Let me say, you fight with the love to know who you are, to find that who you are. I had to fight against the feeling that I had maybe with him. And you have then to be strong, I would say, because you have to win against something. And this something is not something like you say it was wrong. It was love. So I had to fight against that to find myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maureen, there is a lady watching you today.
Yeah.
Who is in that exact same position where you as a life coach, this lady is stuck between love. I love this guy. Oh
yes,
God.
Yes.
I see him.
I melt.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is me. And these two things don't seem to be existing in one space. How do you speak to this lady?
I always say, let you win, because love comes and goes.
If I lose this, I lose the guy.
No. If you lose yourself, you lose everything. So this is, for me, you have to let you win. And we always think love is something that, okay, it's good. It's good to be in love. It's lovely to be in love.
Beautiful.
It's very beautiful. And love is really the most beautiful thing in the world. But if you lose yourself in the name of love, you win nothing, actually. And it's hard. I know it's hard. The feeling of love is it's the strongest feeling we have as human beings. To feel love is a blessing. And it's a feeling, of course, no one wants to lose when you're in that state and you have the feelings and out the butterflies are just coming from your stomach. It's amazing. But I say ask yourself questions. When you go to sleep and you still question not finding yourself, because you do that. If you have the double things and you question them, you will still question them. And I always say, if the question doesn't disappear in your mind at night, you still have it. Okay, I want to do with this, please, but I still love him. That "but I still love him" is already a confirmation that actually you should go to that what you want. So when the question doesn't disappear, it keeps coming. I will say,
why is it always so hard to have that conversation? Why is it always so hard for two people to just say, wait, I want to go to school, I want to do this? What complicates it from your experience as a coach?
Everybody wants to be a winner at anything, and these men, as a dominant part, of course, wants to have. And I would say, as my experience with the relationships is like the fear. When a man fears you doing something and you overtaking them in their power, that's the manpower, maybe. So, and you should go against that, because at the end of the day, I think we have
sort of insecurity of
yes
some sort.
It is. Okay. Insecurity, definitely insecurity over men that will tell you, no, you don't need to study because I earn money. And this was okay. My first German marriage was also the same. Okay, you don't need actually the language. I need to know the language to be here. So like, to be able to make it, I have the language. No, but you speak enough. But you don't have to go to work because I earn enough. And we fall into these as women. I earn enough money, I cater for everything. I can buy you everything you want. So you it's the easiest way. Like, yeah, I can stay there and get everything served. Yes, but is that you? And that's where we kind of go astray, let me say. Yeah.
When you're thinking about marriage, how important is it to a society? When you reflect upon it, when you're looking at it, and now this I'm talking to Maureen the coach. Yes.
For me, marriage is a holy home, let me say. And I have the coach in me is actually the African in me. I always say that's the real me. And the real me respects the marriage, and the real me knows that inside the marriage, life is given. So it's very important for a society, for life to be given, for generation to be built and to be passed by. And within a marriage, I always say that's where tradition is formed or community is formed, that we have a family. And a family is the smallest community, but it is a community. And this small community goes into the bigger community or the larger community. So, yeah. It's a very important part of the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to transition to your books. And I want to start with your first one, Ubuntu Within. Very beautiful cover.
Thank you.
And done so well. Tell us about this book in a quick summary. Tell us about Ubuntu Within.
Ubuntu Within is, I always say, a reflection on my dots that led. I always say I'm a resilient person. I can carry a lot and do reflect on many things. And this is just like getting to the point in my life where a change was done, where I experienced a resilience, where something happened inside me. And I call it something inside me, and the Ubuntu Within is like, I call it the African me, because I realized when I'm in the German state or in the environment, that African in me has impact on many people, and even the Germans. So that's why I reflect on the Ubuntu and that the African part of me in the book.
Exploring resilience and the bonds of human connection.
Yes.
When we talk about Ubuntu, most of the time, it talks about people coming together, the togetherness. And I think it's a South African word. How do you relate from within? How do you look at it from within?
From within is you need a fellow human being to be you. And that's actually the philosophy behind Ubuntu. I am because you are. I am me because you gave me this stage today. Like we always think we are individuals in this world, but we are not individuals. We need the community. We need each other to explore. And when we realize we need each other to explore, and that's actually for me the within part of it, knowing a fellow human being, each and every connection you have has a meaning. You don't meet people for granted. You don't have interactions for granted. You don't communicate for granted. Because when I reflect on these, I was like, okay, there is somebody that someone told me that that made something within me that led to me being me today. So it's always knowing that you're not in a place for granted.
Yeah.
And the connections you make with human beings, they're very important in life.
Yeah.
Very important.
When I was checking out this book, and what I read is also here. Let me just read it to our viewers. In the stillness of an oncology ward, grappling with my son's leukemia diagnosis, I was plunged into profound reflection. That night, amidst the sterile whispers of the hospital, I journeyed back through the mosaic of life, from the humble and hard beginnings in Kenya to the challenges and triumphs that led me to Germany. When you reflect upon this text, when you hear somebody today reading it to you, what does it bring back to your mind?
It made me cry for a long time. And the book writing, the diagnosis was in 2012. And it took me like 12 years. I published it on the same day where the diagnosis was done 12 years ago. And it took me a journey to... I had the things written, but the moment I was reading them, I used to cry. And I wanted myself to stop crying, to be able to accept that what is said. When you read it now, I can't cry, but I feel it. It's not like it's doing nothing to me. But initially, when we could have done this interview 5 years ago, I could have cried. I think for me, it was a process of healing, and it does something with me. And now I can see myself as proud and not crying and not feeling down. So, yeah.
Yeah. There's something I've seen here that is very... I've liked it. It has disappeared again. It was like, was it easy? No. Did I make it? Yes. It's a nice way of... But maybe share with us an excerpt from this book that maybe pins the core of your messaging in Ubuntu Within. Is there a part maybe you can extract for us a small bit that now can help us widely think through the core of Ubuntu Within?
The core is actually at this word, laying there, and me reflecting back, knowing I was then in Germany for over 6-7 years. I hadn't made it. I was divorced already, had a child outside the marriage, had got a possibility to go to college, and finding myself in this world. And with me finding myself in the world was not like, it was like life is being taken away from me. That what I've worked hard for with this situation here is being taken away from me. And it was like a decision, like, okay, you're in college, that's what you've been struggling to do. Like, you wanted to be somebody in this country. You've got that chance to be somebody. With a child, somebody gave you a chance, which is also not easy. To being a single mom and given a chance as a single mom, it wasn't easy. Now you've gotten the chance, and now your child falls sick, and it's not a cold. It's like the system was like, you have either to drop your school because the therapy is going to take 5 years plus.
Maureen, I know there's so much detail that the book cannot cover. That even when you're thinking about it now, when you're thinking about that moment where you're reflecting and you're eventually choosing to say, I want to document this. What is keeping you going? you're in a foreign land, in the height of what I would say the most unfortunate news after news after news. What is still keeping you on the going? What is this thing that is still motivating you to still want to wake up the following morning?
I think I've been asked that question along, or most people ask me like, what is it? What is it? I think I find everything that I've gone through, like I say, not for granted. And after knowing that is not for granted, it's just like wanting to help one person. For me to become a life coach was like, I just want to impact only one. If I started my Instagram account, I was like, if only one person reads some motivation quote and that can help them.
And has grown so far, by the way.
okay.
So you have what? More than 10,000 people on your Instagram?
100,000.
100,000?
Yes.
And you're just targeting...
And that, I think that's actually the thing. I want that what maybe I have experienced, or that what I thought could be wrong, to help somebody else think it's okay, or to just encourage them to know, okay, it's possible to me to come out of that. It's not that the state will stay forever. Just help them come out of them knowing, okay, there's light somewhere. Okay, I think to show them, so just one person, there's some light somewhere.
Yeah.
Just keep holding on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But when you're looking at your son's diagnosis, how did it change you?
a lot. It changed. I think that was, I was, of course, in that transformation journey of trying to find myself, trying to get myself in the German system and whatever it is. But these diagnoses made me rethink everything. And I mean everything that I had led until that part of my state or whatever it is. And it changed everything to me wanting to serve more. That's the awakening of my service. Like, okay, I wanted to give, to help, to more, like to give more. I knew, okay, I'm always helping, but these were like, I want to give more and help more and do more of it.
But why? Because most of the time when people are confronted
Yeah.
with such realities, you almost push yourself to a corner.
Yes.
Like, now I need me. Now my son needs me. Now I need even more money. Now I need to shrink my resources to focus on the treatment and to ensure that we have a good life. What is it that made you think that way? Because it's countercultural. It's the other route.
It's the other route, yes. But I think at that state, I wasn't me yet. And like I said, I want always to impact. I saw my son. And I saw my son at an elder age, maybe, healed, definitely, and he's okay, and asked me, why did you stop? Or why didn't you not do this and this? So these questions came to me then. And instead of course, falling, and people fall, and many fall in that state, I think I saw a bigger thing. I had a bigger picture of how our life should be. And this picture did not disappear out of my mind. I remember sitting there, I was earning it was a part-time college, like 80%. You don't get the 100% of the salary at part-time, having a child, being single. I wanted to change that narrative, actually. And that big picture was in my mind. And I told myself, getting the chance, also like, okay, not the diagnosis, but before I had the chance already. And I was like, within 5 years, I want to get 10 times more than that. So
But let me just understand. There's something you've said, part-time college.
yes.
You paid in college, or how does
Yes,
it work?
you paid. Yeah, you paid in college because you are already, you get the college because of the company. The company says we want secretaries for the next 3 years, let me say. So then employs you as to be secretary in 3 years. So you work at the company, employment is with the company, they send you to school to get the secretary or whatever you need as a school part of it, and you go to school to the company as well. So you have blocks. school blocks and company blocks. That's they call it. And the company pays you, because
To go to school.
To go to school, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Africa, please. Let's learn from the West when we go to benchmark. And I hope most of our leaders come to those countries to benchmark. And when you were talking about the education, we'll come back to Ubuntu. But now it has just struck me when you said part-time college. I'm like, part-time college, you paid in college. What is that ecosystem? Because even when you're looking at currently we are trying to transition from 844 to this CBC system. But to be very honest, we look like even us, we are lost. We are not sure which part of CBC we are currently in. We have a junior secondary school that is supposed to be these kids in class 7 and 8. We don't know what we want to do with those kids. We are not sure. We say we want to nurture the talents, we want to nurture the gifts and the things that these kids possess, but I don't think we even have the capacity to do that. So we are somewhere lost in our education system. And I pray that we will learn from systems like that, because one of the key things that today we are grappling with is unemployment. I can't imagine a situation where our company, for example, Black Boy, will pick a high school graduate and they're being trained to be a TV producer.
Yes.
And
they are paid.
work.
Yes.
Nice.
That's what we do. That's the college. I explained the 3 pillars of the system. When you go to the university, of course, you have a certain course or you pay something, but you can also get a buffer. Like the system can support that. They give you a loan to go to the university if you want. The college system is always the company thing. You don't go just to a college unless maybe you want to study something else that is not even offered in a company. So, and
these guys who got the our Kuchini.
Our Kuchini, they also get, I think, and that's the whole system part of it. That's why they start building it from class 5 to know where do you want to be. Sasa huyu mwenye alipata D, it's not like he will not end up studying. He can if you want. It's just like it will take a little bit longer. Atatake step moja, akuje kwa hii katikati, then take another step to go to the university. The possibility is still there. It just takes longer. Huyu mwenye alienda straight reaches faster, huyu atatake maybe 10 years more to reach there.
I see.
So, and the college part of it is the whole system of a company. You start with a cleaner, and huyu mtu wa D ndiye maybe atakuwa cleaner. You start with then the corporate secretaries, I don't know, the corporation, whatever it is that is like holding the company and the leaders. So you train different people at different states where you need them. And when I think, okay, of myself, I need IT assistant, then I put the job offer out there to build young people who come from the college and take them as my next IT assistants or whatever it is. And like in my company, I work at an energy company. That's what we do, and every other company. So, and it's like we look at our personal capacity for the company, let me say for the next 3-4 years. How many people do we have? How many people do we need? And how many people do we need to train to get there? So, and then we get these people to train them, and we train them to stay in the company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So coming back to Ubuntu Within, as I conclude on this one, what do you desire your reader to take from this book?
Is it easy? No. Will you make it? Yes.
Very few words. Now I transition to your second one. Tell us about the confident me. Rise up.
The confident me is a part of me who rised up from that shy little girl at high school who couldn't even read in front of this class because I was very shy and very...
You used to be shy?
Yes.
Okay.
Very, very shy.
Right.
I couldn't read a passage in front of the class. Definitely no. Nigechuziwa kusoma, I'm like... And I sweat while thinking about it, even now. And this is just a part of me that called up that young girl who was really afraid, who was, let me say, my self-esteem taken away by my dad, I would say like that, because of the Kenyan upbringing thing, I would say, to make it to a country that didn't give me the chance, but I had to grab the chance by myself. And making it even to stand on stages today where white people are sitting, leading leaders. And that's something I always, when I review back, I'm like, how did you make it from that shy young lady or girl to somebody who stands in front of leaders who maybe might see a different perspective of Black, of course, and teaching them something.
Yeah.
So gaining that confidence, that's about the confident me rising up from that young girl to who I am today.
I deal with a lot of young people, and most of the time, there are a lot of people who have so much potential, but they are drawn back by self-doubt.
Yeah.
But what are some of the insights you've given in this book that can help your reader overcome self-doubt and just chase that potential that they have?
I work with the young I go to schools to these when they get to 14, 15, when they start discovering who they are, what they want to be, and I encourage them. And I ask them the same questions I ask myself, because I am like, if you know who you are at that age and focus on that, you can make it to be somebody if you really want. So to find your potential, you have to first of all know who you are. And I think there's nothing better that can happen to you knowing it at that young age. So I encourage the young people to find themselves, and knowing also that purpose is always the same. It might differ in the doings. If you are somebody who wants to help, it will stay that helping. You might be a nurse, you're still helping. You might be a doctor, you're still helping. You can be a coach, you're still helping. So it differs itself in the doings, but the core thing remains the same. So if you find that at that young age, I think, wow.
You're an agile coach.
Yes.
You're a trainer, business trainer.
Yes.
You're a mental health practitioner.
Yes.
Take us slightly into these worlds now in your professional practice or in these spheres of your life. Take us slightly into them and let us open up that world slightly to see what's in there.
So my profession, yes, I am an Agile Coach, business trainer, Scrum Master, mental, whatever. It's a lot. I will say it's a bunch of things, but at the end of the day, it sum up to me wanting to help somebody. At the corporate, I was a corporate assistant, a secretary to my boss then. My second boss, being the secretary, I hated being a secretary because you're always a servant of somebody who you have to follow their plan. So you don't really have a space to be you. So, and thank God he saw something, because we once met for lunch and he was like, I think you can be more than you think. Have you ever thought about that? He asked this boss of mine. And we were doing the Z. We discussed about that. Have you ever thought about that? I was like, yes, I have, but it's just like you cannot think widely if you don't have the chance to do that. So you think and stop, because you're like, my possibilities can only end here. So he gave me an assignment, and that was over summer holidays, to think about what I really want to be. And this was my first step into more of widening up my mind. And I told him I love working with people, definitely, and I want to have an impact on people's life, or to help somebody achieve something. In Germany it calls Unterstützen. I want to help somebody in helping them do Unterstützung. I want to help somebody. So, and I thought, I was like, okay, maybe do the personal management, you still deal with people. And then when I was thinking the agility was upcoming, let me say in Germany, in the USA, it's something that already existed, and the agility was in whatever the big companies in the USA, but in Germany it wasn't not really in. So I read about it and I was like, wow, there could be something. So when I came back, and that's why always, when you find that thing, things open somehow, doors open. So coming back, I was like, I want to be an Agile coach. And he was like, okay, in my branch now, that where I was working, we don't do agility. So where do you want to do it? I say, still, I want it. I think that's what I want. And then he was like, okay. 3 months later, he was changing his department to the Agile system. So these opened more the doors. So he was like, okay, now I can give you the chances. He paid for the studies. And I was given a chance to work in his upcoming branch that was now agility, or building an Agile concept. So I was learning and was able to practice in that. So, and I was now an Agile coach after my certification, and got pregnant with my second child, sitting at home. And I was like, in the business context, you don't go deep. I didn't get deeper. You talk to the leaders, but they're still in a system that they have to follow still. You won't, you will never be given a chance to go deep into changing somebody. So, and that got me thinking. And I was like, I still want an impact. I still want to change, but in the business context, I can't really change. You change until the system allows you to stop. And that's why I was like, I need a side thing, and became, I did my certification to a system coach and value. I always say value-oriented system coaching, because I find when you know what your value is as a human being, you can achieve a lot. When you know where your boundaries are, what do I love as a person? So, and I did that, and decided to start up, side business as a life coach.
How is that going?
Good so far. I'll say I'm thankful. Yeah, it's really more than I expected. Yeah.
Are you able to compare maybe where it is today with maybe what you dreamt it would be?
Not yet. It's still not yet where I want it to be.
Yeah.
And I started with one-to-one coaching and decided to put it into more of workshops to impact more, not just like one life, to get to more congregation. Then it led to speaking engages where you speak at a public that has something to get from you. Writing the book, so it's not there. And the dream is still big. Yeah, the vision is still big.
How do you balance your multiple roles? You're a coach, trainer, a mental health practitioner, you're still talking to kids in school, you're still a mother,
yes,
a wife. How do you balance?
I have a plan of my days. I work at my corporate. That's my full-time job, I say, but it's a 70%. I'm not a full-time employee at 100%. I'm a 70% employee. So I have that time from morning to let me say 14 hours. That's their time. Then I switch to my purpose coaching. That's where I write my books. I do my coaching gauges. I ask and write offers or whatever it is. And I have, let me say, 2 hours for that before I pick my son from the kindergarten and be a mom and a wife in the evening. So I have times schedule. I work very good. I have to work with time.
Do you think that environment influence how you look at family? For example, there's I don't know if it's just a notion or it's a reality that there are very many different ways when you're looking at an African family setup and a Muzungu family setup. An African family setup, we come back home, we sit and wait, mom, where's supper, where's dinner? And in the Muzungu setup, everybody finds the kitchen, Do you ever struggle with that balance?
I love that because that's why I think I wanted then a German, I would say first, not the African. I talked about the African and I love my husband because I always say without him also in the background, it can't work for me to be those different whatevers in different ways. So we have always to talk, definitely, but I know when I come home, when I have my speaking gauges, he has to take care of the kids. So he wakes up in the morning, brings the young child to the kindergarten, prepares the food for the babies and the older, and does everything. So he takes that part when I'm not around. And if he couldn't have done that, then I don't get even the time to do whatever I'm doing. So I have that, and I'm thankful for him being with me as a partner, not like we are wife and he earns more than I do, and of course he pays all the bills, almost all the bills, but still holds my back to do what I love doing. Yeah.
When you look at it as a coach, as a trainer, as a motivational speaker, but also as a mother, as a wife, all these roles, what do support mean in relation to a spouse? What do support mean?
Support means, for me, when I want to do what I love, because in the marriage or in the spouse setup, there is a we and there is a I. So my support, or the support, comes to me when I comes up, like that me in the marriage comes up with something that maybe could be just good for me, and gets the support on that. When I'm like, today I can't take it anymore. Can you take care of the kids? I just want to have a nap. Then that support comes there. So we have, like, over the weekends, because we have full week, both of us. So we say Saturday, Sundays, one wakes up in the morning because the young child wakes up at 6. One wakes up today, the other one wakes up tomorrow. So that we have the balance. Both of us have the work. So that is, for me, the support, not just pulling one thing to one person. And when the I comes out, it's like maybe suppressed, and that would be the wrong way. So I have a very backbone support system, and my children, they have to do everything also. My big boy comes home, we have duties. The young man is always to prepare the dinner, take the plates to the table, put them, because that's work. If he does it, I have more minutes to do something else. So we have that system. So the young man comes, the bigger one comes from school, he has to clear the washing dishes, and like we have some duties, separations in the house.
In working on the title and the topic of the book, Ubuntu Within, I'm sure you interacted a lot with the concept of Ubuntu. What can you communicate to whoever is watching us about the concept of Ubuntu, even in our individual lives and in their individual spaces? What has stood out for you in the Ubuntu concept?
The humanity in it, to see ourselves as human beings. Because, and why did I go there? Because in the good working systems, they forget the human concept of a person. You become maybe a number. The bigger the system is, the more humanity loses its sense or its purpose. And for me, it's just like to go back to the human connections that we really do have as human, and to stick on it, to take it from there. Yeah.
We've had a lot of conversations on gender empowerment, and especially it's a conversation that happens a lot here. Are there conversations on gender empowerment in Stuttgart?
Yes, oh yes, more than here. We have they even gendering names, like to gender a doctor, like the woman doctor, the man doctor, and the mixed doctor, or the doctors who don't know who they are. They're like, so in Germany it's very widely open. And when you offer a job, you have to write it's for men, women, diverse, and plus. Like the plus is just like open for everybody. And we have, of course, the discussion as well, like why is a doctor even if he's a female doctor, or whereas doctor is a male as per pronunciation. So they're working into the system of like make that female doctor be doctor in, like the female in it. You have to put the female in it, and the diverse doctor to be also get the diverse part of it. So that one is a very huge, let me say, chapter in German currently, in Europe as a whole, but German too much.
Is it towards the woman or is it towards a particular gender?
They are trying to give, let me say, everybody possibility. Before it was towards women, because the women now rise up, and it was like in a company, for example, at the CEOs, when you have 4 CEOs, one of them should be a woman, like to have that percentage of women in the tables. So that one they're doing it, or they've started doing it a couple of years ago. And now they're getting into not just women. We are not just women. We have gays, we have whatever. So putting it open to any other person and trying to know how to systematize it, to put into the system, that you have to abide to belong to the system, and you get some points on that.
Is there a culture you found there that you still struggle with today, 20 years down the line?
Yeah, they're perfectionism. A German person, or the German system is too perfect. They don't allow mistakes, and I'm somebody who says mistakes are there to learn. So I have to make a mistake to learn. And I still struggle with that, because everything has to be perfect. Like when I write a word, it has to be perfect, or else the German sees it as an insult. And I struggle with that a lot. They're too perfect. Like they want everything to be just done. They have a system for everything. They have a system from babies. Like they have everything is systematized. Like, I mean, everything. Even the flowers in your garden. Everything is systematized. Even the water falling from your roof. If you have a bigger roof, you have to pay for that extra water, because it's falling on the ground and it's going to the drainage, and the drainage is at the system somewhere. Yeah. It's too much.
Is there something you wish, now that you've stayed there, and I like this place where we started, where you used to see your aunt come and you're like, wow, dollars, euros are here.
Euros, yes.
Today you're that auntie.
I'm that auntie, yes.
When you come back and we see, oh, euros, thank God.
She's here.
Yes. Is there something you wish people would understand, especially to people, we call them returnees, people who are coming back home, or people who are just visiting, that most of the time is mistaken, or it's misconceptualized?
Yes, just to understand that the people there struggle a lot. It's not the same struggle we have, let me say, back home. They have other different types of struggle that they have to take to even be able to give you 10 euros. It's not just like you can ask for it and it's there. Just to understand that the struggle behind them being able to support even with a euro, it's really a lot. And to earn that euro in Germany, it takes a lot. It's not just easy as thought. And the misconception is, like, people think when you go there or arrive there, you have access to bunch of money. No, you don't have the access to that, and it takes a lot. And when you hear people go there and they have taken 10 years without coming back, don't judge them. There's something behind them not even coming back. Maybe they can't even afford the flight, because the money they're earning is not enough to even afford the flight. So don't judge the majuni ati kuna pesa. Pesa iko, but to get that pesa, it takes maybe a lot.
But there's also always an expectation that when you come back, you'll carry a few of us in your suitcases and go with us.
Yeah, not possible. Yeah, I know that. Come from a big family and everybody so unanibeba kwa suitcase yako tuende ama uniite nikuje kwa maid you are as like
I can even work in your house.
Yes, not possible. You can't even have a maid without registering.
But what is it that you can say that you hope will help somebody understand to just relent slightly on that pressure that they put on their relatives who are in the foreign land?
To know that the I think like a German system is too systematized that you don't have a chance to fit in outside the system. So when you come from Kenya, like naweza enda kwa bank niongee na ule na nifanyie. That doesn't happen in German. You can't just go to tell them nifanyie. It's
ATM yangu.
It's too system, like the moment you enter into the German system wanajua huko. Kenya doesn't know I'm in Kenya right now. The government doesn't know I am here. The moment you enter into the system wanajua huko unless you fanya nini ndio. So and that makes it hard to do things outside the system. Mtoto akizaliwa unatumiwa nini na barua kutoka kwa minister wa hiyo village yako, welcome. Welcome to the world and welcome to this country.
Is it because the children are very few or what?
I don't know. No, but it's systematized. Huyo daktari mwenye amekuzalisha has to sign something, ataandika apeane jina ya mtoto somewhere. And after you coming from home with your child, unapata barua, welcome Kenton to the world. We appreciate you. If you reach at the age of 3, you can go to this and this kindergarten. It's near your place. At the age of 6, you can go to this school. It's near. It's in the area. So they are already planned.
That one is an equal to who now in Kenya? Who is writing for me that?
That's equal to a Maya, like niseme.
An MCA.
MCA, exactly. Like nani mkubwa hii Westlands, umezaliwa mtoto sasa hapa. Huyo atakuandikia. Huyo barua comes from that office. Welcome.
What if you live in Westlands but your preferred hospital was in Eastlands?
You are registered in Westlands and that's your home. Like your registration is always your home. That's why they say, okay, you can zalia mtoto wako Siaya, but here is where then your home
MCA
is.
wetu wa huku lazima ataniambia karibu.
Ni atakwambia karibu, mtoto karibu. And that's why ni kuambia tu watu it's hard to say, okay, nibebe kwa mzigo twende. Hey, unafikira hata tutafika?
Nikae hapo kwa engine ya ndege mahali.
No, we won't get even there. When you get there, everything is set. Like, niseme, niko kwa nyumba, I have 2 rooms, and I rented the house with my name. For me to allow you as a friend, when I say, Mike anaweza taka tuishi naye kwa nyumba, tunaishi, niko na room naweza mpea moja. It doesn't happen illegally. You are not allowed to stay there without the owner of the house knowing that person is there. And maybe come to visit, yes, but after more than 3 months ni mtu anaishi hapo, so you have to register it officially. And huyo mtu wa nyumba akishajua, it's already registered in the kwa MCO, like tuko na mgeni mpya kwa village yetu, haya
wakuja wanisalimia.
Like ndio. So they have to have that number already. Ule umetoka Siaya sasa unaishi Nairobi. It's there. Like it's too much systematized that the way we think here, unafikiria unaweza kuja tu tukae tuchill ama nikuje tu nikuwe maid ameregister, nikiandika maid mpaka niseme niko na maid kwa nyumba yangu na nimemwandika aje na namlipa aje. Like you have to do it officially, or else you're doing a black, you supporting the black job system, which can lead you to going to jail. Definitely. Ukipata umefanyisha mtu kazi na mtu ako black, yes, it can lead you to go kushikwa for that.
Racism is also quite something.
Yes.
How do you navigate that
like
space?
I said initially, I realized I was black when I entered the German because I didn't know I was black. It's I won't say it's so much like the USA compared, like the Black American history and the German. But in German, it's systematized. You don't see it. You don't, it's not alive spoken, because if somebody like kutokana jiani like you're like a racism abuse, you can actually sue them and they can get a fine for that officially. So I think for it, it's systematized. You're searching for a job, uko na picha yako, you're a black person, or you have a name like doesn't sound German, you won't get that job, or the possibilities of you getting it is hard. So that's why I say it's part of the system. And when you go to their stages or different offices where you, up to today, hautapata mtu mweusi. So they're kind of still there, but it's hard. And depending also on where you are. So it's like always telling, if you come there as an immigrant, you have to know places. There are places or regions that it's higher. Berlin is open, Frankfurt is open, München is, there are more spaces that may be getting open, more open, like other spaces. So you have then, when you want to make it, you have to go to those spaces, let me say, that are open for immigrants to be able to, let me say, minder the racism part of it.
Do you still get some of those bad looks on transit most of the time through stations, through airports?
Yes, especially when you see us as a couple, and like my family, my husband is white, I'm black. Our first son, my first son is black, and the young one is a mixed. So whenever we go eating, they are always staring, like the question marks on the head. When my husband walks with my first son, they're like, okay, what is that behind it? That one is always there. And I always say for men, it's harder than for women. And I do experience them when I work like with the leaders. And sometimes they call me Maureen Burgstahler. They don't see the black in that name, first of all. So they call me, and we are like, they're expecting a white Burgstahler, and then I come like that black, you see that surprise. Or when you go to the doctor's space, or when they don't know you see always that. And for me, I accepted it, because I always say, I think racism is another thing. Discrimination happens to everybody else, everywhere in the world. We have the Luos, the Luyas, the Kikuyus. We have it always. Also in Kenya, I would say. But the racist part of it is what hurts me more, when I think, because I'm black, can't change me being black, and you discriminate me because of that, I have a problem with it. But when you expect me to be that white, and I surprise you, and I make sure I surprise you positively, then you're like, oh.
Impressive.
Then I'm like, I want to change that narrative for them, thinking, okay, every bookseller is a white guy. No, it could be a black, and that black person could be also good. So that's...
Your book, Confident Me, as I journey towards the end, has really also spoken to women.
Yes.
What are some of the challenges you think women are facing in the world today? And I would really like to know if there is a comparison between where you are at in Germany and where we are at here in Kenya, if there is a difference. What are some of the key challenges you think women are still going through? And how would you say you've tried to address them, or you've spoken into them in your writing?
I try to tell them to still stand up. I always say, stand up as a woman in that space you are, and make them...
What are those challenges? What are some of the things you can pinpoint that these are the struggles women are still facing?
A woman is still seen to be a woman, and that's so...
Isn't that a beautiful thing?
It's a beautiful thing when the woman is allowed to be that woman, the nature of a woman. And a woman is somebody who is, I think, is very, very lovely, passionate and stuff. That's a woman. But because the woman is seen to be this soft, loving, they're easily placed in a corner of them remaining a woman. And this happens same in Germany. It's not like different to Kenya. And I stand for the women to tell them we can still be more than just that. It's not like we should abandon the woman we are, but still know we can make it out of it and be more than just a woman. Because a woman is always stamped of you're a mom, you are the birth giver. Yes, it's per nature, okay, defined, but that should not be the only thing to define a woman. And I tell girls and the women also to stand above that, being a wife, woman, mother, that part of it, to tell them to still wake up and not just define themselves by that. Yeah.
Wow. So currently, Maureen, what are you working on? What's in the kitchen?
In the kitchen, there are many stuff. First of all, I have to translate my books back to German, like they are both in English. So the current work is working them out into the German versions. That's important. I still have a bunch of books inside the stove or the sufuria. These thing being like they're being zinakorogwa pole pole. So, and I have always ideas or conceptions. I write my thoughts. That's why these are my thoughts out. So I have already now a thought backlog, let me say, a thought backlog of the books that could be maybe there in the future. That's what I'm to. I would like to go into more psychology. That's something I'm still into. Maybe for the next couple of years, I want to study the human mind more deeper, to know the cognitive part of it and to get to that. And then, aspiring to be more. More than, always aspiring to be more than I am today.
Yeah. The books are well done. I like how the hardcover, the text, the font, the typography, there's these small little nuggets you've put in that are also pushing the thought. You're doing more than surviving, you're paving a path. There's a part I saw, one of those that was saying, how do you hold yourself together while the world around you keeps pulling you apart? Like they are, what inspired the style of your production?
Because I said before, I asked so many questions. I ask myself so many questions, and that's actually, it's answering the questions. I always ask myself. I am somebody who walks and asks a lot of questions, but not just deep questions. To try to know what is behind what is behind what is happening, what is behind me being me, or something like that. That's why it's aspired. There are many questions inside, which I always have, because whenever you ask a question and it sticks with you, you have to find the answer. And that's why I just want to trigger that question asking, and maybe you can ask it by yourself and try to find the answer. And when you find the answer, I think we fulfill something. We fill in the bottle a little bit by finding the answers to the questions that we struggle with, maybe. Yeah. So it's like both. I ask questions on both a lot. Yeah, it's a questionnaire or something.
So where can somebody find you? If somebody wants to find your works, how can they interact with you? How can they find your work?
My work is on Amazon. Both books are listed there. You can find them actually all over the world where Amazon is available, and just make an order. And I always say, if you want it to be signed, that's always something, then you write me, email me, write me, or wherever you are. I'll make sure maybe I do the posting with a signed copy.
Is it stocked locally?
No, it's demand on order.
Okay.
Yeah, you order and it's printed. But I do have, as an author, a capacity that I can print for myself for distribution or for presents or something. So that capacity is always there.
But I also want to invite you to have them on Nuria, which is our partner on this podcast.
Cool.
Nuria Bookstore. They have a physical store in Kenya, but they have been the best e-commerce website for the last 4 years in a row.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So they also sell both locally and internationally. So they will assist you a lot in your
That would be
distribution.
great.
So that is one of the key things I can also recommend. And if you're watching us, I don't know where you're watching us from. This is what's on your shelf, and today we're hosting Maureen Burgstahler. That's name, Burgstahler. Burgstahler.
Yeah.
Akinyi, I will remain at Akinyi. Maureen Akinyi, akona sisi hapa leo, and we've had such a beautiful conversation. I don't know where you're watching us from, and what part of this conversation has stood out for you. What is it that you've had today that has either given you a nudge to keep going, or has struck something in your head that will wake you up tomorrow morning? Feel free to share with us that on our comment here. Maureen also is available on her social media sites. She's going to be sharing that in a few. And keep interacting with her. Reach out to her. If there is something she says that you feel is profound, or you feel you'd want to challenge also, feel free to reach out to her, so that let us keep this conversation going. But one of the key outstanding things, beyond the books being beautiful, and this is the first lady I met who loves brown as a color, it is well done. And I feel like also as a people, there are a couple of things we can learn. Are they printed here locally?
No. They are printed in Netherlands, I think.
They are printed in Netherlands.
Yes.
And I feel like there are things that, our literary space has really improved, and we have a lot of self-publishing authors today, and that space has opened up. But I also still feel like there are still a lot of things that we can learn, especially in the quality of the print, and also the quality of the binding and the design. This is beautiful. It's something that somebody will want to keep. But Maureen is here with us today. She's in Kenya for her vacation. This during our winter.
Very cold.
But Maureen, as we wind up, how can somebody find you, and what are your social media handles? What are the things that you hope that this conversation today will help you build on?
Okay. First of all, the book is also found as an ebook. So you can, instead of having a hard copy, you can also have the ebook version on it available in Kindle. The Amazon daughter of the big Amazon. So it's a Kindle version is also available. So where can you find me? You can find me on all social media platforms. I will say Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I am trying TikTok.
Yeah. I understand.
Trying TikTok.
Yeah.
So you can find me there, or you can find me via my website. You can just
What's your website?
www.motivatedbymaureen. It's motivationmaureen.com. So you can find me there. Just write me. You can email me, Maureen. I'm motivated@maureen@gmail.com. You can call, DM, whatever way fits or matches your wish. But when you give just Motivated by Maureen, I think you can find me. I do podcast. I have my own podcast. You can also write me there, available on Spotify, Google, Amazon, Apple. Yeah, I think on all social media.
No, that one I don't want you to say in passing. What's your podcast? What's it about? And how can somebody find it? What's the name?
The name is Living Beyond Limits, Unlocking Your True Potential. So it goes into the self you. How can I get to me? How can I live beyond that what I think I am today? Because that's what we are today. We can always go higher than that. So, and that's the limits, like beyond that limit you can live. And it deals with personal development journeys, starting from my own personal journey, how I got to developing myself and just giving back on that journey. Yes, available on Spotify, Apple, Google. I think everywhere you can find a podcast. If you give Living Beyond Limits, Unlocking Your True Potential, you can find me. Or just Maureen Burgstahler, you can find me. Yeah.
Maureen Burgstahler. So Maureen, your parting shot to somebody who is watching you today.
Yes.
Maybe your final word.
My final words would be: your starting does not define your ending. So you can start from somewhere. So never judge yourself or define yourself from where you think you're starting or where you think you are today, because the end is undefined and it can be more beautiful than you think. So strive higher.
I would say no more. That's where our curtains close today. Strive higher. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for journeying with us to the very end. Where are you watching us from? What has stuck with you throughout this conversation? What have you found interesting? Remember, this is What's on Your Shelf, brought to you in partnership with the Nuria Bookstore, who have a physical shop in Nairobi CBD at the Baza Plaza, first floor. But also check out their website. They have the most vibrant online market, books market on their website, nuria.com. And it now has audio books. Check it out and pick up something that you like. But what have you heard from this conversation? What is it that nudges you to want to try it again? Because that allows me to leave you with one of the shortest sentences I've found in this book, Ubuntu Within. You're not alone. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for journeying with us to the very end. And today's book, I want to ask for the trivia for this. Remember, now this is for the third week. We gave the book last week. We gave another book last week, but one. And this week I'm also giving another book to the person, the first person, to tell me which city or state does my guest Maureen live in Germany. The first person with the correct answer gets the first book today. I want to test how much you're concentrating. But thank you so much. That marks the end of our show today. Thank you. See you again on the next time. And to my German audience, auf Wiedersehen.